So guys, this is my review for Fena Pirate Princess episode number 9. With that guys, let's dive right into this review of episode 9. Let's get it. So the title of episode 9 was called Vice Versa, and that's a key point between the title and the actual episode that we'll talk about a little bit further into the video. But basically, this episode was about Abell. It was about Helena, Fena, Yukamaru. Like all of this stuff is tying into basically heading to Adin, right? So here at the beginning of the episode, even prior to this moment, we focused on Abell back on the ship. He was basically just going through the motions. You know, his room is all kind of like not clean. He's just been like depressed and just thinking upon Helena, and he just can't focus. But I forgot the kid's name, but he shows up and he just knocks on the door and says, Abell, what do you want us to do? Where do you want us to head to? What coordinates do you want us to go? And basically, Abell told them that he wants them to head northwesternly. And basically, that's where they're headed. But we get this flashback of Abell and Helena here when they're young. And actually, when they first meet, we find out just some key things about both of them throughout this memory, because there's a couple of them that happen. Now we get their intro here of when they're kids, roughly. I want to say around 13, maybe 12, around 13, maybe 12, something like that. But when they first meet, basically that we found out that Helena, that Abell, that he's a prince, but he's unable to get the throne. He is not next in line to get the throne. He basically tells Helena that he doesn't have any family or friends. He's by himself. Helena says that's kind of lonely. Am I your first? Then this doesn't mean that I'm your first friend ever. And they really enjoy their time together, spending time together. They do a lot together over the course of the seasons that transpire during their youth. And then that's when a few years, as time goes by, a few years go by, and then we see both of them a bit older, moving forward in the memories from Abell's past. Now, during these memories, we also get a chance to see, because again, this is a few years later, Abell is actually standing several feet away from this spot here where Helena is sitting. She was sitting here by herself, and then this person comes over, and what we end up finding out is that this is Franz. This is Fena's father. Well, I want to say technically this is Fena's adopted father. So, but he comes up to her. He's trying to get her to get up out of the seat and go moving away. Now, again, Abell is off further back, and he actually calls out to Helena, and she stops. She looks at him. Now that's the thing. Like Abell, he looked like he could tell that she was sad. He could just see that on her face, and of course that makes him sad too, right? But he calls out to her. She looks in his direction, and she sort of kind of wants to go towards him, but then she kind of like puts her head down a little bit, looking away from him, and then she literally looks to walk in his direction, but Franz ends up stopping her in her tracks and tells her, look, we just need to go on ahead and get out of here. So we get this moment here, but then we end up getting some more information about Franz, about Helena, about the king, and about Fena, who hasn't been born yet. So, of course, there's gossip going around. There's a lot of talk. People, word is getting around. People are sharing the gossip. Abell is right around the corner. He's standing on the side. These three women, they can't see him, but he overhears their conversation. So what they talk about, they basically say that Helena went off and got eloped with Franz. She ends up eloping with him, but she's already pregnant with Fena, who is actually the king of this place. that's Fena and is the king's daughter. So we gain that information here specifically because again we knew that Fena had some royalty blood in her. We knew all of this stuff. So here in this episode 9, that we gain this information here. And again, like I said, Abell finds this information out and he just like walks off sad and stuff like that. But with that with this conversation happening, I want to say several months go by, and then we end up running into Helena again, but looking very differently, but actually looking kind of she basically looks like somebody that we've already seen before. So as we see her in this image, this is Helena. She remember she had long hair. Now it went like basically down to her ankles, her feet. But she ends up cutting her hair. She's behind these bars here. She's been arrested. At some point she gets caught, and they take her back here, where Abell is, back at the place that they grew up at. And she's behind bars. She's basically slated to, because that's what the three women were talking about, that she was going to be executed. So that's basically the plan, is for her to be executed. But she's here. She literally, Fena looks just like her mother with the low haircut. So just the resemblance is just striking, guys. Just really, really just, I'm just still blown away by just how like literally how Fena looks just like her mother. Fena is her child. Fena is her mother's twin. Seriously, guys, this is amazing. So basically, Abell, he visits her at the jail that she's in. They're having a conversation. Abell's basically telling her, like, why would you vanish? I would have followed you, blah blah blah, would have went with you. I just don't understand. But Helena basically just telling Abell that, like, if it's basically saying, like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. That this is the current situation. And she even brings up like Edine, and she talks about how she basically brings up Fena. She says to him, like, the child, maybe the child is supposed to end up going to Edine, and you may or may not be going in that direction unless you end up meeting the child, which again, of course, that happens way earlier in the episode. So this is just leading into just everything's just like literally just adding up. A lot of stuff is just adding up that we've been trying to figure out over the course of the past few episodes. And again, we haven't even dived into Fena and Yukimaru's conversation, but again, this conversation between her and Abell is still, it is still indeed connecting the dots. But with that, she does end up indeed getting executed. I'm not going to show it here on the video here, but she gets burned at the stake. But she literally, Abell is watching this occur. Now again, he doesn't watch immediately as the flames are happening, but he opens his eyes just as the flames are about to engulf her whole entire body. Helena literally says in her mind, Abell, you definitely were, basically saying like he was her first love. So she definitely did indeed love him, just as much as he loved her. So with that, we see all this culminating again here in episode 9. All the dots are being connected, per these past memories between Abell and Helena. Just such a great first half of episode 9. Now, as we're drawing closer to the end of the episode, Yukimaru and Fena have a conversation. Now, they're just having a random conversation, just talking and checking up on Yukimaru. And what ends up happening, Fena ends up singing that song that she was singing way back in episode 1, out on like the deck. And then Yukimaru ends up singing the words back as she's humming. Sorry, Fena is humming the song. And Yukimaru is saying the words, and then they start talking about the song. So the song is actually connected to the title of the name, where they were trying to figure out like the back at the cave, the clock, and everything. We already know that there's coordinates and stuff like that. longitude, latitude. Originally, they were thinking it meant south and west. Originally, that's what they thought, that the coordinates were 61 and 41. But again, all of that, because of the title itself, vice versa, basically what it means is that the song is talking about switching stuff, flipping stuff, turning stuff in another direction. So instead of going southwest, they're going northeast, and the actual coordinates are, if I remember correctly, it's 14. Sorry, it was I think it was 14, 16 or 14, 19, something like that. It's one of those numbers. I can't remember off the top of my head currently after just watching the episode. But that's the coordinates that they have to head to, and it ties into the title, vice versa. It's just everything is just connected. And yeah, just that's what's going to be the initial plan basically next week's episode on Sunday, episode 10, is that they are going to be going to these coordinates. Everything is flipped. Everything's just like I said, everything's connecting here in episode 9 for what we were trying to figure out for this anime and what it meant for Fena going in the direction that she needed to go. Again, per the dreams, all of that, making a decision on choosing which way to go, all of this stuff, it just connects here in episode 9 with these coordinates and switching the numbers around per the coordinate numbers and stuff in the longitudes and latitudes and stuff. So all of this is connecting. So such a great episode, guys. I really enjoyed episode 9 today. What did you all think of episode 9 when you first sat down to watch it for the first time? Leave some comments in the comment section below. Let's talk about some things. But with that, guys, I will hopefully talk to you all next time with more Fena Pirate Princess. Peace, guys.